Recently, I was watching Fox News because I was incredibly high and I thought I was in the middle of a Succession rewatch. And I happened to notice this interesting clip.
A Christian revival across the country. Bible sales increasing over 40% since 2022. Religion app downloads surging nearly 80%. That increase since 2019. And Christian music Spotify streams up 50% from 2019.
Wow, Bible sales are up. Christian apps are up. I assume those are the ones where you have to match three things to make them disappear. But instead of gems or candy, it's holy relics. And of course, Spotify listens are up. I guess it's all that DC talk buzz. Am I right? Wow. All right. I guess Christianity is cool again. Again? Well, whatever. Christianity is cool and popular and everybody loves it. Now, obviously, I just saw this shortened segment on my social media, so I tried to find the longer clip that it comes from, but I was not able to. Not because this turns out to be fake AI generated. As best I can tell, it is real, but because there are actually so many videos and articles that Fox News has posted in the past month claiming that Christianity is experiencing a revival, which they have labeled the Charlie Kirk effect. Prior to his death, of course, the Charlie Kirk effect was referring to the optical illusion formed by the placement of Charlie Kirk's facial features that made it impossible to tell whether his head was too big or his face was too small. But the new Charlie Kirk effect is a narrative Fox News is creating that says Charlie Kirk's murder was not just a senseless act of violence that literally happens every day here in the United States, but instead a brave, noble sacrifice that will catapult the United States directly into the theocratic Christian utopia that they have long been agitating for. In addition to the increase in Bible sales, app downloads, and Spotify listens, many of these articles also claim that the churches are suddenly packed with worshipers. Unlike the first three things, they don't have any data for the packed churches. It's just vibes-based. And so I also do not have data to completely rebut their claim. But I do have some data to call their various claims into question. For a start, decades of surveys show that in the United States and around the world, Christianity is getting less and less popular. According to a Pew Research poll published this past February, the percentage of Americans who identify as Christian has been pretty steady since the pandemic, but overall it's dropped from 78% in 2007 to an all-time low of 62% as of March of 2024. Obviously, we won't know if the Charlie Kirk effect reverses this trend for another year or so when we get this data, but that's a pretty big trend to reverse in just a few months. It's especially damning when you compare it to a chart from the same period that shows how many Americans describe themselves as atheists, agnostics, or nothing in particular when asked about their religion. We have doubled our numbers, zooming up from 16% to 29% in the same period. This is similar to worldwide trends where the nuns, as we're collectively known, that's N-O-N-E-S, not N-U-N-S, that's a whole other religious thing. But the nuns rose 16% between 2010 and 2020, from 1.6 billion to 1.9 billion, making us the second fastest growing population after Muslims and the third largest religious group in the world after Christians and Muslims. In that same time period, the percentage of the world population who identified as Christian fell by about 2 percentage points, down to 28.8%. So despite the fact that within that same time period, the United States went from a presumably secular democracy to a Christian authoritarian theocracy, that is not actually indicative that that religion is popular. We are currently ruled by a fascist minority who hold unpopular views on issues important to most Americans, including separation of church and state, trans healthcare, women's healthcare, et cetera, et cetera. At least, they were a minority until Charlie Kirk took one to the neck. So how about those numbers Fox News is crowing about? Well, the surge in Bible sales is absolutely believable. Bibles go through regular surges, with Fox News reporting on it every time as a sign that Christianity is cool again. For instance, here's an article from last December about Bible sales surging 22% over the previous year. The Wall Street Journal also reported on this jump, talking to publishers who credited growing anxiety, successful marketing campaigns of new editions, and, as a subset of that, influencers like some girl from Love Island, US, making TikToks about buying her first Bible. And that, for me, really pinpoints the issue here. This is not about any kind of spiritual awakening. It is about consumerism. Capitalism and Christianity have been bedfellows for decades, with preachers deftly turning from Jesus flipping tables and kicking merchants out of the temple over to the prosperity gospel that began to thrive in 20th century America. Evangelists targeted the poor and disenfranchised, promising them that if they gave their last few dollars to the church, then the Lord would give it back to them sevenfold. Thus, the preachers got richer and richer, and the poor people just died, clinging to the idea still that their windfall was coming any day now. And so today we have our televangelists doing the same thing on social media, with influencers cynically wielding Christianity to hone their own image, secure new brand deals, and sell Bibles to people who already have 6 of them moldering in their attic. And then Fox News takes this consumerism and uses it as propaganda, suggesting that the unpopular fascist minority is, in fact, a surging grassroots movement with the power of the moral majority. So yes, Bible sales probably went up. And how about those apps? Up almost 80% since 2019? Wow. Well, apparently the app market itself has grown by about 12% each year for the last decade. That means if there were 100 downloads of Christian apps in 2019, an 80% increase would mean there were 180 in 2025. If it kept up with the rest of the app market, we would expect it to be, 112 by 2020, then 125, 140, 157, 176 in 2024, and finally 197 by 2025, meaning that Christian apps have actually underperformed compared to the market. I mean, at least up until Charlie Kirk died. Gotta wait for those numbers. Finally, let's look at Spotify downloads. Fox News points to an increase of 50% in streams of contemporary Christian music since 2019. Since 2019, Spotify has seen the number of subscribers increase by more than 100%, the total number of users increase by 270%, and revenue increased by 230%. I couldn't find details for total number of streams, but yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say that overall, a growth of only 50% on Spotify is not really anything to brag about. Unfortunately, Spotify sucks. They gave Joe Rogan millions of dollars. Stop giving Spotify money. What are you guys doing? Anyway, so the data just isn't there to support the idea that Christianity is growing in popularity, nor is there evidence to suggest that the Christians who are here are actually consuming more stuff. But as outlets like 404 Media have pointed out, there does appear to be a strange increase in Christians making and spreading AI slop. 404 found that the slop is actually being made by and for Christians in the West. This is not some Russian bot program. And apparently the Christians here just can't get enough of it. 404 spoke with Karina Laughlin, who wrote the book Redeem All: How Digital Life is Changing Evangelical Culture. Laughlin said that they don't care that it looks like shit or it makes no sense. The Christians are just solely concerned with AI's ability to quickly mass produce content that they agree with and can easily spread to try to evangelize to the heathens. I think that AI allows Christians to continue to live in a dream world, completely separate from reality. Fox News does the same thing for them, but with AI slop, they can take it to the next level. It's not just the false reality that Christianity is wildly popular or that Charlie Kirk died for some great cause. Now they can also pretend that Donald Trump rescues orphans out of floods, or they can truly envision what's going to happen when Jesus Christ returns. Or they can even pretend that Jesus Christ is actually already here and ready to talk to them through an app. Seriously, if you ask the Jesus AI app if it's really Jesus, it replies, I am Jesus, Son of God. How may I help you today? Yes, I'm calling to cancel my subscription to Pope Facts. It's actually really annoying. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me a bit if we do eventually see a statistically significant uptick in downloads of Christian apps as more grifters realize just how gullible and easily fleeced these people are. But even when that happens, it doesn't mean that Christianity is suddenly growing in popularity. It just isn't. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you loved the video, please subscribe. And if you think the world could use more videos like this and you happen to have a few bucks laying around, head to patreon.com/Rebecca and join an awesome community of nerds like the people whose names you see on the screen right now. Thanks.